Hello, sorry for my lateness. Literally, day job went on too long. So here I am. Hey Kyle, hey Destroy, nice to have you in there. This is F1 Grandstand. This is your daily F1 news. I'm Tony Craig, and if you are an F1 fan, you are in the right place. Wow. So there's been some interesting news today. I don't know if it's a slow news day, but here's what I've discovered today. Rumours that Max Verstappen has got a $1 billion offer on the table to be considered. Yeah, $1 billion, and with a B, not an M, a $1 billion potential deal with Aston Martin. I'm thinking, who the hell is writing about that? Well, this is coming from autosport.com. And what the whole article is about, it's by Ronald Vording, good journalist. And it's all about Aston Martin. And basically what Aston Martin is saying, Andy Cowell's saying, is just how flattered they are by Max Verstappen being linked to their team. Now, okay, well, that seems a bit vague. But it goes on to say this. I just need to find it. Okay, so let's set off with where Max is currently, what he's currently feeling right now. He said, so Max Verstappen basically made clear in Hungary that he'd stay with Red Bull for 2026. We know that, regardless of any exit clauses. Now, those words ended all speculation, but which mainly focused on Mercedes. We know that, right? And that's still going on because we still think Max could end up at Mercedes in 2027. And then, we had Toto Wolff saying it's completely normal for any team principal to explore where the future of a four-time world champion lies. Completely normal, so he says. But Mercedes at that point weren't the only team linked with Max Verstappen. It turns out that in some press somewhere, which I never saw, Aston Martin also received media attention about reports of a $1 billion offer to Max Verstappen. And Fernando Alonso is saying, it's flattering that there's that Verstappen's name is even associated with Lawrence Stroll and Aston Martin. And then team principal Andy Cowell chimes in and says, this is crazy. He said, ever since Lawrence bought the team, his words have been backed up with action. That is true. When you see the campus, when you see the investment he's got inside the campus, when you see his approach on recruiting people like Adrian Newey, he's determined. At which point, the whole paddock can see that there's a determination to go from a team that was all about survival to a team that is here to win. And this is what else he says. He says, Max showing media interest. I don't know what the right phrase is, but Max showing media interest is flattering, Cowell added. In his opinion, he can see that this is a team that's determined and is taking the right steps. Hang on a minute. Is that what he sees? Which he should, actually, with Adrian Newey. Or does he see a potential $1 billion? Mance, chef's in there. Oh, great. I love that. So we've got Kyle, we've got Destroy Television, we've got Chef. So glad to have you all with us. But so Andy Cowell is literally in the pub. I don't get this. I know Max Verstappen is the greatest driver on the grid. I do. I can't deny it. He is the greatest F1 driver currently racing, for sure. But Andy Cowell and even Fernando Alonso saying it's flattering that Max would even consider coming to Aston Martin. And Lawrence Stroll even considering how he could offer up to $1 billion for Max Verstappen. That's like a 10-year deal on $100 million a year. I mean, it's possible, but is it likely? I'm not sure. I don't think any driver is worth that. And I also think that people miss the most important thing about F1. And honestly, there's probably 6 drivers on the F1 grid, which are all top tier drivers. Max is in God tier, right? He's a God tier driver for sure. But all the other, let's say another 5 top tier drivers, like George Russell, Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris, possibly. But, you know, you've got 6 drivers really capable, given the right car, of winning a world championship. So I don't know why people are gushing that much over Max Verstappen. I'm saying, yeah, he should be the highest paid driver in Formula One, for sure, because he's the best. But when you're talking about sums with a B, honestly, put that billion onto the tarmac in your car, and Lance Stroll can win the world championship. Maybe, potentially. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I find that I rate Max Verstappen, but I'm starting to get a bit annoyed that like Max Verstappen's the answer for Mercedes or the answer for Aston Martin. Like, I just think that no matter how good... Look, Max Verstappen is the best driver on the grid, but he's not winning the championship this year, is he? He's not, because the Red Bull car's not good enough. So, put Max Verstappen in the best car, unstoppable. Put Max Verstappen in the second best car and put George Russell in the best car. George Russell's unstoppable. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm interested. I'm interested to know your thoughts on my logic. I'm going to go to the chat. So, Kyle said, Detroit Television, not me having an anxiety attack that the show didn't start 30 minutes ago. I'm so sorry. I was having an anxiety attack. I literally walked straight through the door, got the stream set up and jumped on. Today is, I've been out from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. It's crazy busy, but I'm so glad to be with you all now. So yeah, it's, well, Kyle says, would their couple name be Moll? Mance or Stacks. Kyle says, if he decides to leave, I hope he announces early like Lewis. Well, the thing is with Max is that he can go to any team. And the thing is with Max as well, he doesn't need the money, does he? I don't think his money's his biggest motivator. I think he'd drive the fastest car for nothing. But yeah, so but the fact that they're talking about $1 billion to secure Max Verstappen makes me go, what the F? And my question to you is any driver worth $1 billion commitment? Even Max Verstappen? I mean, I'd love to, if I had a Formula One team, of course, I'd love to have him driving for me. But I'm just sick of all the gushing, because have people forgotten the last 3 years? He can win a title at the cost of his at the cost of his number 2 driver, and they have to develop a car for him, which no other driver can really come to grips with, because it's such an aggressive front end. Is there really a situation where you could bring Max Verstappen into your team? He could win races, but you build a car for him, but literally your second driver is never going to score enough points for you to win a constructor's title. And I really think that's the risk with Max Verstappen. I'm not sure it's worth the risk. What do you think? Yeah, so Kyle's Destroy Television says, put the $1 billion towards the car, then approach Max. I agree. If you put the £1 billion into the car, I mean, I know it's easier said than done, because how do you put £1 billion into the car when there are budget caps? I understand that argument. I do. Yet I don't see how a team benefits from having all their eggs in one basket. If you look at McLaren this year, it's a great example. Great car, running a Mercedes engine, brilliant aero, 100% brilliant aero, great chassis, very balanced car. And you've got Oscar Piastri, who I do rate as a top tier driver. And Lando Norris is a great driver. I'd say he's a smidgen behind Oscar Piastri for me, as in just from raw talent. But Lando Norris is a capable driver. He just lacks that killer instinct. But we might see that now come to the end of the season. I hope we do. And I might be proven wrong. But if you look at how dominant those two, well, I say dominant. The car's been dominant. Max is within spitting distance-ish of Lando Norris, and an outside chance of catching Oscar Piastri if Oscar Piastri has some DNFs. But overall, considering the skill gap between Oscar Piastri, Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen, that skill, I would say that performance ability gap, if it was top trumps, do you remember top trumps, right? If it was top trumps and Max is 100, Oscar Piastri is probably 94, and Lando Norris, or maybe 91, and Lando Norris 89, right? in top trumps. Do you know what I mean? But is there... But is it worth it? Is it worth risking your entire team building a car for Max? I'm interested to see. Hey, James, nice to have you in the chat. And that's funny. Kyle says 100 million is barely a third of Cristiano Ronaldo's 275 million a year. Is that what he gets paid? Is that true? Does Ronaldo make 275 million a year? Well, he needs to buy a Formula One team with Christian Horner. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. According to Forbes, 275 million a year. So he's obviously so what's Hamilton on? I think is it 50 or 60? Hamilton's on at Ferrari. Or Max on 60. I mean, basically the highest paid F1 driver on between 50 million, let's call it 50 million ish per year. It's a lot of money. But I think they might get better hours than Ronaldo. Ronaldo's got to train every day, right? I don't know. I think Formula One drivers get better hours. They get more time on their boat. If you look at George's new boat, it's not a bad life, is it? But that's the thing. Like, I think the Max Verstappen debate is actually a good one, because it's almost like it's almost like how would I put it? To have Verstappen in your team as the best driver, you literally got to compromise your second driver to such a point that unless you're developing two almost separate cars, which you can't do, no one's got money for that, you can't do it. So I just think that the Verstappen, it's almost like sacrificing your entire family, right? You got kids, you got a nice wife. It's like you got this lovely wife, you got some lovely kids, but then you go, oh, Megan Fox knocks on the door and goes, hey, maybe we can live happily ever after, but it's the cost of your wife and your kids, but you do get me. Do you take that deal? Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel about Max. Max Verstappen is literally Megan Fox, and you've got to give up your entire family for her. Like, would you do it? And don't all say yes in the chat either. And if you watch it on replay, I don't want to see a million yeses. But you know what I'm trying to say? That's what it feels like. If you want to recruit Max Verstappen, you're sacrificing your family, your kids, your dog, but you get Megan Fox. I mean, James Allen jumped straight in saying, worth the sacrifice. Yes. Yes, worth the sacrifice. Tut. Never. Kyle Melson says, according to Forbes, Max is already making 72 million a year from driving alone. 100 million doesn't seem that big a step. Yeah, it's the length of contract though, isn't it? The thing about the $1 billion number, 100 million a year is fine, but if you have to give him like a 10-year deal, I mean, wow. A 10-year deal worth a B. I suppose there would be performance-related clauses, which means that Max could leave or they could get rid of him should they want to. But it's not just about securing him for 10 years. Let's say Max does turn up and you do build a car for him, and then they have the same issue like they've had at Red Bull, where the second car just doesn't score enough points to win a Constructors, but Max can win a World Championship. If you're Aston Martin, do you take that deal? I don't know. And James says, yeah, and you've also, his buyout clauses will be huge. It follows football, so Kyle is probably spot on. Yeah, so the thing is with Max is, if he signed who wants to sign a 10-year deal? I mean, if you're George Russell, I suppose he wants a 10-year deal at Mercedes if he can get it. He just wants a 2-year deal and they won't even give him that. But yeah, but that's the thing. I think the Max Verstappen debate is a really good one. The cost is so high. You know, it's to give you another metaphor, another one. It's like I'm going to give you the best eyesight in the world, but you're going to be deaf. Do you know what I mean? Well, forget it then. I'm going to make you the strongest man in the world, but you're not going to be able to talk. It's like the compromise. You know what I mean? I don't know. Destroyed Television says a 10-year deal is wild. Will Max be this competitive in 8, 9, 10 years? I don't know. Maybe, but I wouldn't want to bet the house on it. Yeah, imagine paying someone 100 million a year for who's finishing like P7 on average. Are you talking about Lewis Hamilton there? We're not far off, are we? We're paying him 60 mil a year at Ferrari to finish P7 on average. Ooh, cutting. It's not his fault. It's not Lewis's fault though. I don't care what you say. That Ferrari is a bag of spanners, so I won't have a bad word said about him. But yeah, that I do find that fascinating that Max Verstappen could honestly get that sort of money. But even Red Bull, they're bending over backwards for him as well. You know, absolutely bending over backwards to keep him. They're saying, yeah, go and race in the GT endurance, go and race in the endurance series. It's fine. Don't worry. Doesn't matter if you have an accident, break a leg, then you can't race in F1. I mean, Helmut Marko is literally doing everything to keep Max happy. And got to remember, Max's endurance car, his GT, up to the endurance series that he's in, he owns that team as well. So he's obviously got more than just an interest in driving. He's actually got he's got his own team. So I understand like how that's all playing out. I understand that Helmut Marko is literally doing everything he possibly can to secure him. But I don't know, man. If it was me, I'd be having a think whether Max Verstappen's worth it. I would, honestly. Yeah, it's not good news. It's not good news, which leads me on actually nicely to speaking of bad tempers and bad news. I don't know if you saw this story about Ferrari's lead engineer. They're basically saying that Ferrari's lead engineer, he's called Matteo Tognanelli. I'm terrible at names. Has got such a bad temper that he's part of the reason why Fred Vasseur is getting pushed. He's getting pushed out, and this is coming from F1 Oversteer. So this is what he said. It emerged last week that Fred Vasseur had a heated confrontation with Tognanelli in Singapore. The team principal must take action because he and his group of engineers have become too powerful. Now, what's this story all about? Now, I've talked about it a few times recently about the problem at Ferrari, and it's all to do with, well, first of all, it's Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc, literally, I was going to say in Singapore, but really the last few Grand Prix has been very vocal about the engineering team. And then Lewis Hamilton has backed him up with his comments about the pit wall decisions, and I'll be coming to that in a minute. So Fred Vasseur in Singapore had a big falling out with Matteo. And I think if I'm to guess what that fallout was about the brake situation on Lewis Hamilton's car. Now, I'm sure you're all watching the Grand Prix like I was. Singapore, about, coming towards the end of the race, Hamilton's got some good pace. He's coming up behind Charles Leclerc. He's lapping a second and a half quicker. So pit wall say, yeah, Charles, move out of the way, let Hamilton through, let him go and attack. And he's gone, great, we've done that. Hamilton attacks. Leclerc, like a good driver, sits in behind Hamilton. And then with 6 laps to go, Hamilton's brakes exploded. 1 lap before that, with 7 laps to go, his engineer says, Hamilton, please manage your brakes. 1 lap later, the brakes explode. Now, if you listen to Hamilton, he didn't have any other warning other than, and same with Leclerc, other than at the beginning of the race, they said, this is a lift and coast. We've got a lift and coast. The track is punishing on the brakes. The idea is protect the brakes, protect the tyres, lift and coast, right? But then they have the telemetry and they have all the data. and they didn't even give him a heads up that his brakes were about to explode. And obviously then Hamilton lost in the last 6 laps, he lost 60 seconds or 50 odd seconds to Fernando Alonso, and got a track penalty from going outside the track limits. He got a 5 second penalty, which put him behind, finishing behind Alonso. So publicly, the drivers who are supposed to be towing the Ferrari line were basically saying these fucking engineers are causing us problems. Even the engineers in the factory, we've asked for certain upgrades to the Ferrari. They wanted aerodynamic upgrades. No, they're not getting that. Not delivered. They got suspension upgrades because the ride height meant that it's so low that it meant the car was running at a legal ride height by the end of the race because the plank wear was too much. So Hamilton and Leclerc both said, we're not getting what we want from the team. And then Hamilton comes out and says, well, in qualifying, when George Russell put that Mercedes on P1, which, to be honest, was a fantastic drive and a great result for Mercedes, and very unexpected, well, their decisions on the pit wall were this. In qualifying, they sent the Mercedes out first, okay? So the tyres were been on the tyre warmers, track temperature, they got their hot lap in. What the Ferrari engineers didn't see and didn't anticipate was they sent the Ferrari drivers out, Hamilton and Leclerc, into a queue of traffic that was just queuing to get out of the pit lane. And by the time they hit the track and hit their tyre temperature was 5 degrees less than they wanted. So they couldn't get a hot lap in. And they go, why are these decisions being made on the pit wall? Why are these decisions being made at the factory? And then Leclerc, like we said, his management are looking for a potential of the drive in 2027. So coming back to the argument between Fred Vasseur and Matteo, Fred Vasseur's getting heated and going, like, what the fuck? He might not have said the F word, but he's basically saying, like, what is going on? Why does the car get mechanical failure towards the end of the race? Just after Lewis Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race. And so they're having all this heated arguments. But Fred Vasseur is supposed to be the leader of that team. But I have a theory that Fred is really like a puppet leader. You know, there's too many chiefs in Ferrari. And so Fred hasn't got the respect he needs to run that team as a dictatorship. So now all these engineers are all fighting back and giving him a load of grief. And publicly, and people could witness it and could see it. So he's literally getting undermined. You got the drivers coming out not towing the Ferrari line. And so Ferrari, it's just the reason why when every one of these stories come out, like brand Ferrari must be going, oh my God, not again. Which is why I told you about the other Ferrari story, which has been dominating the headlines, is why John Elkann is having talks with Christian Horner. And by the way, I have an update on that. I told you John Elkann wanted Christian Horner, even though we know Horner wanted shares in a team. Well, he's not going to get shares in the Ferrari racing team, but there's been developments. There's been confirmation, okay, that Horner, since we did the breaking news story about John Elkann after his open admission at Ferrari's Financial Markets Day and their crisis meeting, where he was saying that Ferrari have been underperforming, we're going to go and get top talent, and then Elkann's camp leaked a story saying that Horner's our man. Well, now we can confirm that this week dialogue has opened up again between Horner and Ferrari. And where we thought before John Elkann came into the picture that it was never going to happen, I would put the Ferrari situation now at 65%. I would say Horner going to Ferrari is probably 65% likely. Yeah, 65% likely. Because they have been talking this week. 65% likely. I'm going to go to the chat. So Kyle says, if the Lance Strolls are making 100 million in 10 years, then that's cheap for an 8 times champ. Yeah, well, do you know what? I know what Lance Stroll gets paid. Lance Stroll's salary, by the way, is $3 million a year. That's it. I'm sure that $3 million a year is going straight into his piggy bank, but he's getting $3 million a year. That's Lance Stroll's deal. James Allen said, what if he goes off the boil in 3 or 4 years? And he must be... We're talking about Max Verstappen. Of course, if he goes off the boil in 3 or 4 years, he's just basically phoning it in for another 5 years, get me $100 million a year. But yeah, Max Verstappen could do that. So James says, manage your brakes. What the fuck? I'm sure there's a team chat before the race, which means that why aren't they giving Hamilton codes like brake strategy 1, 2, 3 so he knows how to react? Exactly. What they did, they all knew that they had to lift and coast, which means... manage your brakes, lift, coast for a corner. Like, that lift and coast is a strategy, right, to manage your brakes. But the thing is, what really worried me about the whole situation with Hamilton is he's pushing. How was there not any indication that those brakes were going to hit catastrophic failure when they did? I mean, just from brake temperature alone, they must have got some indication that brake failure was imminent. Yeah, I mean, sorry, James. So lift and coast is you carry the speed through the corner, but you instead of braking, you take the foot off the gas and from early down the straight. So you coast, you lift, coast, and sort of so you get some inertia off the car, natural inertia off the car before you hit the brakes. Lift and coast, baby. So yeah, that's what happened. I mean, and so Ferrari are like, and here's the big thing that no one's really been talking about, why Ferrari is such a problem and why it is such a problem for John Elkann, is because since the financial markets day where he spoke, and so did Vigna as well, they both spoke, Ferrari's share price has gone down. And as the chairman and majority shareholder of Ferrari, yes, you want to win races, but his driving reason is because his goal is for Ferrari's share price to go up, not down. And Formula One is the jewel in the Ferrari crown, right? And it can affect the way the share price goes. It's not just about car sales, it's about potential car sales in the future. A share price is dictated not on the now, it's on the story. That's what moves a share price, right? I don't know if any of you are financial people, but that's how it works. Buy the rumour, sell the fact, right? That's what happens. So Ferrari's story needs to be good for the share price to go up. But now they're living in fact. The fact is, the car's a bag of spanners. They've lost their top engine designer for 2026. It doesn't look good. Hamilton's been a bust, really. It's not his fault, but he's not had a podium. Leclerc's looking at moving. The engineers are all falling out. And like I say, and their top talent are leaving to go to go to Audi. So yeah, it's a freaking mess. But that's a fact. So that's how share price moves. So now people are selling the fact because they look at it and go, shit, 26 doesn't look good. If 26 starts, if they have a great Melbourne, share price goes up. And that is what John Elkann's motivator is, right? Right now, they're in the fact. They need to get back in the story and need to get back in the story by making changes. Guess why Christian Horner becomes important? Because now you've got a story. We've got a saviour. We've got a leader who can take Ferrari back to the top. That story sounds good, doesn't it? So what happens to the share price? Up it goes. And that is your finance lesson for today. And if you ever want any more finance tips, don't come to me. But that's literally what it is. It's buy the rumour, sell the fact. That's it. That's how it works. And that's what he's trying to do. So the reason why John Elkann is so all out trying to get Horner is because he needs a new story. The Fred Vasseur story is done. That isn't helping. So there needs to be hope, there needs to be change, there needs to be a wholesale change. That'll help Ferrari's chances not only of winning world titles again, but it will also help Ferrari's share price. And that is what it's all about. Kyle just said, I just spent $230 on a Ferrari F1 Lego set. That should buy them a brake pad for Austin. Yeah, maybe. $230. Oh, I want a Ferrari. I want a Lego set. You know what? That's cool shit to give away. That's why we need to get this channel big, so I can. They're cool giveaways, aren't they? Ferrari Lego set, freaking brilliant. James Allen says you should write a strongly worded email, Cal, and demand harder braking, mate. He's right. It's an option. It's an option. But yeah, so Ferrari is still in disarray, and and the reason why John Elkann is so important is because, well, he's the chairman. He's the one that extended Fred Vasseur's contract, but he's also a billionaire. Yeah, he's also a billionaire, and billionaires get what they want. So if he's made a mistake with Vasseur, he'll fix it. And in that one change, I think you'd see a spike in well, the story would get better, the share price gets better, and then if they do well, Horner comes in, he's a saviour, he becomes an absolute hero. Ferrari get back on track, and I am here for it. Yeah, that's right, Destroy Television. That's cool. We could start with we've got to grow this from small, right? We're going to grow it from small, but we will give back every step of the way, and we'll keep doing stuff. It might be a $25 Lego set. It might be an F1 Grandstand mug. It might be some t-shirts, but we will get some merch going on. We will, 100%. So yeah, it's an interesting time to be at Ferrari, and it's an interesting time to be at Aston Martin. It's been a wild week actually in F1 news. It's like it depends on which news outlet you're covering. It's like the pendulum keeps swinging from from Horner's buying a stake in Aston Martin. Then we find out they turned down his money. Andy Cowell comes out in the news and goes, nah. He's not joining Ferrari in an operational financial role. Not now, not ever, basically. It's like, okay. And then another story came out which said, nah, not true. There are still talks going on. It's like, oh, God, who do you believe? And then you've got the one but here's the thing. I need to try and make sense of what I believe from all the noise. And here's the one I believe at the moment. I'm going to give you some percentages because I think that helps. Yeah, who's Tubby George shirts are definitely coming. 100%. So this is what I'm going to say. Horner, I think now to go to Ferrari, I think it's 65%. I think it's gone up a lot because of those conversations. I think Ferrari to Alpine, I'd say this season for 26, 20%, and 15% to Aston Martin, and I don't really think anyone else is in the mix. I think Haas has gone by the wayside. I think Audi was never going to happen. Horner Racing, his own team, is something different. That might be if he gets every door shut in Horner's. If Horner gets every door shut in his face, then I would consider Horner Racing a possibility. Because he'll just go on the charm offensive. He'll spend all of his backers' money, and he'll try and get that FIA license. But most likely, it's Ferrari. And I think he's realised as well he has got time to get ownership of a team. He's only in his early 50s. Like I said, Adrian Newey got his shares in a team in his late 60s. And Horner's ego is so big. Imagine taking Ferrari back to the top. He was Tommy George. Yeah, don't wind me up. I want to know who Tommy George is so badly. Yes, James. No one will ever know. Well, maybe one day he'll announce it himself. But it has to come from him. I will never reveal our sources. Never. Yeah. So we have got the Austin Grand Prix this weekend. I'm so excited for it. There's a lot, I think, to talk about tomorrow night, because tomorrow night is the Grand Prix preview show. We're going to talk about what we think is going to happen with McLaren. Let me tell you what's coming up, and we're going to talk about where we think everyone's going to finish in that Grand Prix, 1 to 5, driver of the day, dipstick of the day. But we're also going to touch on. I've got some stuff about George Russell as well, which we're going to talk about. Do you know what, James Allen? I'm going to. I met one iteration of the Stig. The first iteration of the Stig from Top Gear. His name was Perry. I don't know if you met him. I don't know if anyone's met him. Yeah, I did meet the very first Stig. The very first one I did. Perry. And they changed them every couple of years, I think. But yeah, I did. I met the very first one. I can't remember his surname, but his name was Perry. Nice guy. Loved the beer, by the way. He wasn't driving, but yeah, the very first thing, he was a nice guy, but loved a beer. It was at some do years and years ago in London. But lovely guy, great driver. So yeah, so tomorrow night is going to be a big one. It'll be a long one as well because we're going to cover everything on Austin. We'll have the track, we'll have loads of good facts for you, and we're going to talk about, have your Dipstick of the Day predictions ready, have your Driver of the Day predictions ready, and also have your 1 to 5s ready, because we'll be going in hard for that one. But yeah, that's going to be tomorrow, and I will be on time tomorrow. I promise you that'll be at 7:30. So yeah, so that's the plan for tomorrow night. But what I want to leave you with is this is what, if you're watching, if you just joined at the end of the stream, I want the big question for me today, and I still go on about it, because am I the only person in the world that thinks Max Verstappen isn't worth it? Like, not because he's not the best driver in the world, but he isn't worth it in the team. And I really want to hear your thoughts on that point, because I don't know if I'm going crazy, because I don't know if I would take Max Verstappen into my team over to... Would you swap? Here, would you take Max Verstappen, Lance Stroll over Charles Leclerc and George Russell pairing? I don't know. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. No, that's true. We do, Kyle. Of course we do. We've got the sprint race as well, which is a slightly different one. I think I know who's going to win the sprint race. Yeah, you're right. It's a sprint weekend, baby. And that's good, because I'll be doing watch-alongs for this as well, so we'll be able to watch all this together. So, yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, lots of streaming, non-stop. Get your snacks ready, because we will be just going live, chatting some shit, watching some action. You're absolutely right. And the sprint race is a good one. Kyle says, he's worth it if you give him a good car. Destroy says Kyle's right. Yeah. See, I'm with Kyle. I mean, I'm with Kyle on this one. I just think it could be too. I don't know. I think I'm in a minority in my view, but I don't think I'd take him over two great drivers to have one god tier driver. I don't. Okay, do you take Max Verstappen, Yuki Tsunoda in your team over Charles Leclerc and George Russell? Do you take, which pairing do you take? I'll wait. I know I'm going to take. I'm taking Russell and Leclerc over Verstappen and Yuki. That's just me. I know it's not popular. I am going to get slated in the comments, but that's just where I sit on it. I want to know if anyone out there agrees with me. I would. You would. Exactly. Destroy television. You take Leclerc, Russell. Yeah, that's the deal. And that's what you get with $100 million a year, right? Less. You get both of them. In a Mercedes. Exactly. I 100%. I would. That's what I think. So this is what I'm saying about the whole Verstappen thing. And you're absolutely right, Cal. If you manufacture cars, if you're a works team like Aston Martin, well, winning a world F1 championship is not bad for your brand, is it? I mean, Ferrari built a business on it, right? I mean, obviously they make the most beautiful, amazing cars you ever can imagine. But Aston Martin make beautiful, amazing cars too. And winning F1 World Championship Constructors is going to do you a lot of favours in selling those cars. 100%. Yeah. So Destroy Television, yeah, if we're talking about for the team, yes, 100%. Yeah, you would take Leclerc and Russell over Verstappen and Yuki. Yeah, I agree. And Verstappen and Yuki, to be fair, is like bringing Verstappen to Aston Martin. This is why I said it, because you're bringing Verstappen to Aston Martin with Lance Stroll. Would you take that pairing, or would you rather have George Russell and Leclerc? The same money. Less money, I know where I'm going, personally. I know that's contentious. I am going to get slated for that. People are like, I'm an idiot. But that's what I honestly believe. If I was building a team, I would not be going all out. Because I also think if I build a car for Leclerc and Russell, they're both going to be able to drive that car. If I build a car for Max, I'm pretty sure Lance Stroll ain't getting it around the track. That's what I think. And Kyle, yeah, I know. I'm with you on that. Yuki would have been put in a reserve seat. I would have promoted Hadjar. Maybe slid in, or maybe just switched him over. Maybe just switched him over. See how Yuki does in the back in the Racing Bull, because he drives that pretty well. To be fair, he's not bad, pretty quick. But is he quicker than Lawson? Well, yeah, we can only really find out when they're in the same car. So I'd probably do that actually. I probably wouldn't have dropped Yuki out of Formula One. I probably would have dropped him to Racing Bulls. Promoted Hadjar probably too early, but let's see how he gets on. I probably would have done that. I probably would have. But then again, that's literally what they did with Liam Lawson. And he gave him 2 races, and it was proven that promoting him too early is not the way to go. So yeah, I'd probably be wrong with that. But yeah, oh, it's been fun tonight. Yeah, we've been ruminating on some interesting things. Is Max Verstappen worth $1 billion over 10 years? Would you sacrifice having Max and not a very good driver and Max, or go for 2 really good drivers? There's a lot of talking points. And Ferrari, you know, it's a mess. Share price is going down. You need a new story. The Horner story's good, isn't it? So, he's your man, John Elkin. And they have been talking. That's the thing what I want you to take away. The conversations have been taking place. There's genuine dialogue going on right now between Ferrari and Horner. So, we will update you as we get any little juicy tidbits off the paddock. So that's it. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this show. Tomorrow's a good one. It's all the Singapore preview show. 7:30, and I promise you, Kyle, Destroy Television, I will not be late, and we'll be talking about the whole thing. Get your predictions ready, get your dipstick of the day ready, and also get your driver of the day predictions ready, because we will be getting into it. Thank you so much for watching the show. Please smash a like on the video, even if you didn't. It makes a big difference to the success of the channel, and I'm going to see you all tomorrow at 7:30. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Ta-ta.